I'd like to now first go live to Privacy Commissioner, Ms. Ada Chung, who is joining us remotely. Hello, Ada.
Hello. Can you hear me, Nick?
Yes, loud and clear. Over to you. Thank you very much, Ada.
Thank you, Nick.
Thank you.
And thanks for having me here. I would like to share with you some of the work of my office in response to COVID-19 and also technological developments. I think all of you would agree with me that the pandemic accelerates the use of technology in our lives. And while technology facilitates the normal functioning of the society, I think the advancement of technology also carries inherent personal data privacy risks. And I would say that it is important to strike a reasonable balance between the protection of privacy on the one hand and the pursuit of legitimate interests, such as interests to protect public health or the resumption of normal business activities on the other hand. Like many other jurisdictions, the Hong Kong government has adopted a variety of technological measures to combat COVID-19, including the Stay Home Safe mobile app, which is used to monitor compliance with quarantine orders, an online dashboard, which is used to disseminate information to alert the public of the geographical location of COVID-19 confirmed cases, and more recently, the Leave Home Safe mobile app, which was just launched last week to facilitate contact tracing. Actually, my office has provided our input whenever necessary to the government in the design and development of all these apps. In particular, I would like to point out that unlike some other countries like Singapore or France, which stores all the data obtained from the contact tracing app in a centralized database, the Leave Home Safe app adopts a less privacy intrusive approach by having all the data collected by the app stored in the user's mobile phones and in an encrypted form. It is only when the user is diagnosed of COVID-19 that the user will be directed to upload all his records to the health authorities to facilitate further investigation. And in some countries, like for example, India, Bahrain, and Kuwait, they have incorporated real-time GPS tracking data into their contact tracing apps to increase the accuracy. However, in Hong Kong, we noticed that no GPS location data is collected by the Leave Home Safe app, and data will only be collected when the users scan the QR codes at the relevant venues. And it is all voluntary up to this particular moment. I noticed that over the weekend, there have been talks about whether this scheme will be made mandatory, and we will have to wait and see. At the international level, my office has conducted a survey among different data protection authorities in the summer to gauge the international community's response to COVID-19 in the areas of, for example, contact tracing and location tracking, and the sharing of data, in particular health data, with the health authorities and law enforcement agencies. And we have compiled a compendium of best practices, and this compendium is now available on our website. It is interesting to note, for example, that most of the jurisdictions, actually 72% of them covered by the survey, have used contact tracing apps. And the use of the apps are mostly voluntary. Quite to the contrary, the vast majority of the jurisdictions, about 75%, did not use location tracking as a measure to combat COVID-19, apparently because of the privacy concerns in the various jurisdictions. And in terms of legislative backing, in some jurisdictions, laws were introduced to back up contact tracing. And it is interesting to note that different jurisdictions may make different approaches to either address privacy concerns or to address the protection of public health. And in some jurisdictions, for example, Australia, laws were introduced to limit the use of data collected by the contact tracing apps. However, in some other jurisdictions, such as Bulgaria, laws were introduced to facilitate the use of data in contact tracing and also in enforcing quarantine orders. So you will see that different approaches were taken in different countries, apparently because of the different concerns on privacy issues and also probably because to address the imminent public health concerns. Back to the work of our office, I would mention that in response to the pandemic or the new normal, my office has issued several guidance notes in the past few months to provide guidance to employers, employees, and also schools on the collection, processing, and the retention of personal data, in particular sensitive health data. And we are working on several new guidance notes to provide more comprehensive guidance to employers and employees under the work from home arrangements. And we target to issue all these new guidance notes by the end of this week. Incidentally, on biometric data, given the more common use of biometric data nowadays, we have updated our guidance note on the collection and use of biometric data. Some highlights of the more important principles and recommended measures include, for example, to assess the necessity and the proportionality when you consider to use biometric data and opt for the less privacy intrusive alternative if possible. Conduct privacy impact assessment to identify privacy risks and incorporate appropriate mitigating measures in the design of the system. Enhance transparency in the data processing activities, such as by explaining the use of biometric data, why the use of biometric data is necessary, and that there are sufficient data security measures are in place. And you should also provide individuals with informed choices whenever biometric data is to be collected. And as all other data, we should always ensure the minimum amount of data is collected, that the data collected is accurate and also secure. And with that, I have come to the end of my presentation, and I think I've used up all my 8 minutes.
Thank you, Privacy Commissioner. So you see this is the app you talked about, happily using it. Leave home safe. Okay, thank you. Well.